Welcome back, everybody, to Zlatan's Fight Picks. Today we'll do the recap for UFC Fight Night, Blanchfield versus Fiorot. We'll talk about what went right, what went wrong, complain about a few things, celebrate a few things, and all that. So let's start. Most confident, Lochran. You know, he dominated that fight. He was very consistent and easily out-wrestled, outstruck. And I think he won 30-27 one, I think in all the cards. Or was there one card that he won 29-28? But he dominated that fight. It was nice watching it, especially if you're on the Logren side. So that was correct. We'll go to the next one, Algio. Wow. I don't know if Kyle Nelson is that unstoppable, but I have noticed in the last little bit, Algio has been getting rocked, maybe a little more frequent. But if you watch that fight, they both had their opportunities. They're both swinging for the fences, and there was a few times where Algio threw some big bombs, some big kicks, and just missed Nelson. And if those had connected, then it would have gone the opposite way, where Nelson would have gotten hurt. And we're counting on, or I was counting on Algio's chin, and Algio's chin did hold up. He got getting tagged, but he stayed in the pocket. Maybe he should have backed up a little bit. But when he got tagged and he actually backed up and wobbled, but backing up, which was a smart thing to do, you had Copeland, which was the referee, who jumped in and stopped the fight. That was severely an early stoppage, like suspiciously an early stoppage. And normally you can maybe overlook that early stoppage. But he did the same thing against Takali. He had an early stoppage. That was questionable. This one was blatant. I'm wondering if this guy, honestly, man, first thing I thought is, who's paying this guy? Because somebody's paying him more money than the UFC. Because him to stop that fight at that point, especially knowing Algio, I mean, this is how he fights, where he gets rocked and then he comes back and he wins. I mean, literally, if Copeland had been reffing the Landwehr fight, he could have stopped that fight, and Landwehr would not have had an opportunity to come back and win. That's a big question mark. Like, you know, he looks like a little leprechaun. I don't want to judge him on that, but it just, like, I don't want to make fun of him. It's easy to do. Okay, the little leprechaun definitely screwed things up, because that ruined a significant length in this parlay, which I had actually up to here, and I had it both ways on Blanchfield. But anyways, for me personally, it ruined a decent sized parlay. It didn't ruin all the bets, but this one in particular it ruined. The little leprechaun, should be shining shoes rather than reffing. But nevertheless, easy to overlook if it did not happen just before that. So, and I can't remember if it was a third time where he had stopped it early. I'm trying to think of which one it was. Was he reffing the Weidman fight? I can't remember if he was reffing the Weidman fight. Weidman Silva. I can't remember. He might have been. He might have been reffing this one too, where Weidman poked Silva in the eyes. So it was three different fights. Like this, that's not. I mean, there's no excuse. That's a lot of mistakes. That's a ref, I don't know, doing a lot of things wrong, and I don't know why. I mean, three in a row, and I'm pretty sure. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought he was here in this one too. On the Silva Weidman fight. I could be wrong, but I remember there being three fights. So I'm there like, this guy's reffing all these fights that have a controversial stoppage. Something's wrong with that. Like, either his judgment is off or something else. I mean, you don't want to say, well, he's getting paid and this and that. But honestly, after I saw that one, and then I saw that one, and I saw that one, I'm there like, there's a pattern here. Like, I'm sure I'm not the only one saying this, but anyways, that was a terrible stoppage. Algio, was rocked. It was the first round. that's usually his worst round. So, and then Kyle Nelson's first round is usually his best round. I mean, there was only uphill from there. There was only another minute left. He was surviving up to that point. You know, I don't know. He just wobbled. I mean, as a matter of fact, knowing how Algio just even strikes and approaches the fight, he's always very floppy. He's long and lanky and very floppy. Even when he's not hurt and you're throwing punches at him, he's flopping around. He looks like, and he gets hit and he goes with the punch and it looks like he might be hurt, but he's not really hurt. He's kind of going with the punch, and he's and he's not getting hit directly head on kind of thing, you know, with full power, because he's usually flopping around, moving back and forth, and he's going, you know, he's usually moving with the punch. So he always looks that floppy. So it wasn't nothing out of the ordinary. You know, it was, you know, him flopping around and being really long and lanky. That's just normal. That's what's, and then for him to just jump in when the fighters are literally 15 feet apart, like, I don't know, man. I mean, just that alone, that 15 feet is seconds for somebody even to recover, even if they were hurt. And even though he was a little rocked, he wasn't like terribly hurt. And it didn't make any sense. Bad reffing. I still would pick Algio if they fought again, like straight up. Bad, super bad stoppage. Anyways, Malkoun came in, dominated the fight. You know, I think Petrosky, you know, I thought he was always overrated. You know, Malkoun's always been underrated. So that's why he was such a high confident pick. A really tough guy. Sometimes they said he might questionable chin, but his boxing, he's been working on his boxing, his jab's getting good. You know, I think he's a little small for the division, but he's a lot stronger than he looks. So, moving on. Arce, you know, I mean, I had a little bit of a scare with, you know, I know Burns comes out in the first round, throwing big strikes, big submissions and all that. But Arce weathered the storm. You know, he did really well, looked really good at 145. So, moving on. Ruziboyev, you know, dominated that fight. I know there was a questionable stoppage. And I think they want to run it back. I can't remember exactly what happened, but I remember, you know, Dumas was complaining about the stoppage, and I don't know if it was an eye poke or something like that. I can't remember, but it was questionable. But Ruziboyev was dominating the fight anyways. But they want to run it back. That would be a great fight to run back. You know, as Ruziboyev moves up the rankings, then bring him back to run it back one more time. Moving on, Blanchfield. You know, the one time I bet on Blanchfield, right? So, you know, the one time I bet against Fiorot, and the one time I bet on Blanchfield, the one when I swapped that sequencing, you know, Blanchfield loses. And I gotta admit though, you know, I mean, Fiorot, you know, being like a good point fighter, she made one mistake trying to take Blanchfield to the ground, almost got choked out. And that was like, okay, well, I was kind of happy with it. To be honest with you, I had a couple parlays, one on each side because it was the main event. So it really didn't matter to me. This fight ruined more anything than anything else. So I didn't really care who had won. But my pick was Blanchfield. Now, Fiorot did look really good. And as the fight went on, she played to her strengths. She didn't go underground. She's too big, too long, had, you know, decent durability and good stamina for the full 5 rounds. You know, and I gotta admit, Blanchfield, I mean, she didn't have any answers for the length. She was always at the end of her punches. She kept trying to take her down and she wasn't able to because the girl was too big. But Fiorot, I gotta admit, like, I mean, her corner seemed a little miffed with their advice. And I was a little worried when she came in, I think the 3rd or 4th round, and the first thing her corner said was, so I thought, that's not good. And the most positive thing out of that corner is Blanchfield looked undeterred, not tired. And I looked at her and I go, wow, she is so composed in there. I was so impressed and tough. I actually think that Blanchfield shouldn't be fighting at 135. She should go down to 125. I think she can lose another 10 pounds. I think she's going to have a little bit of a problem with these bigger girls. But I think she's a future champ. But I think she's a future champ at 125. If she goes down to 125, I think she can be the future champ. Just because of the size difference. But, I mean, she might even be the future champ in this division. But I think she's definitely going to have a few years go by and maybe Fiorot to retire. And then she's going to be the future champ. But I really think at 125, looking at her body weight and mass, and like, I think she could lose 10 pounds and go down to 125 and absolutely be a juggernaut. I mean, who knows when you lose 10 pounds and sometimes your chin doesn't hold up, but she's tough, she's durable, her striking's getting better, and she's excellent on the ground. It was actually, even though she lost, I was impressed with her loss. Nevertheless, that was an official mistake. But yeah, her going down will be good. Gatto got canceled, never saw it. Buckley, I mean, she's just too fast. He's just too fast. And Luque, even though he's only like 32, he's got a lot of mileage on the tank. He's got a lot of mileage. He's been taking a lot of damage. It was just, there was no way he was going to win. He was losing it everywhere, right? So anyways, Buckley got the good win. He's looking pretty good right now at this weight class. Silva Weidman, and I made a note. I said Silva should win. I said, but I got a bad feeling about this fight, and I had a bad feeling that something crazy is going to happen, and something crazy did happen. Silva, I mean, he was losing the fight anyways, but in the end, he gets pokes in the eye and he falls to the ground. And Copeland, I'm pretty sure it's Copeland, doesn't do anything, doesn't say anything, and then calls the fight a TKO, then they reverse it and call it a decision or something like that. But Weidman, to his credit, I mean, he's not washed up. He's washed up as far as being a champ, but he's obviously can beat a lot of these mid-level guys who are just at the end of their career anyway. Like Silva has questionable chin. Now he used to be tougher, but yeah, so these guys he could still beat, which is fine. I mean, he's still making money, right? And I had a bet both ways, but because I just had this feeling it was just going to be a weird fight, and I just had this bad feeling, anyways. So Silva was official pick, but I had warned everyone stay away, and Weidman could be the side here, just because of that, And I don't want to go on this, I got this weird feeling and I'm going to go, but I did have a weird feeling and I kind of told everybody about it. So, and it's true. So sometimes you get these feelings and they're true, right? And they work out. Matthews, wow. I got to admit that was a big mistake. And looking how bad Matthews was, and I think I just held a lot, I don't know, just hoping there would be more things that were improved by Matthews. Just, it didn't look good. I don't know. Bazooka looked so much more powerful, so much better than this guy, and he ended up getting a knockout. It was bad. I didn't like it. That was a really bad pick on his part. So, anyways, let me see here. I'm doing a video right now. What do you need? No, finish. No, you're not. Just catch the bus. It's all right. You'll be on the video, by the way. I'm not stopping you. Okay, all right. Thanks, bye. Sorry, I don't edit. So that was my son. He's just wondering if you should catch the bus or picking him up. For anybody who wants to know. So yeah, moving on. Jandiroba. That was a really good pick. I was very happy with that pick. I wanted to put it up more confident, but I was just scared. Like, I mean, yeah, it's these are pretty big underdogs. Maybe I'll just leave them at the bottom. But yeah, and she took her down enough to win the fight. Lupe Godinez, and I was saying this, I said, I think she's a good fighter, and I've always bet on Lupe, but it's always a sweat. But now that she's going into this upper echelon, I don't think she's the upper echelon. I don't think so. I think she's, up to top 10, maybe top 8. But once she gets in the top 8, I don't think she's got it to win. I don't think she's going to be a champ. I think she's going to be a really good fighter. And I think this is where we see her plateau. That was my opinion. And Jandiroba did win it. Jandiroba eventually going to retire soon in a couple more years. She is getting older, but she managed to push through it and win the decision. And she's been able to do that quite often, actually. So it was a good pick. McKee. watching the first round, I thought it was the best pick because McKee looked great in the first round. And I was expecting it to be the opposite way. I expected Chidi to be looking great in the first round. McKee looked really good in the first round. He looked like he had his number. I thought, well, this is going to be easy because that's the round I was worried about. But coming to the second and third round, I don't know if it was so much an adjustment by Chidi, but McKee changed the whole game plan. And he went from striking to trying to take this guy down. He was absorbing shots, trying to take him down over and over again. It just wasn't working. Like, I don't know what his corner was telling him. I mean, the fight IQ was just absolutely terrible on McKee. He was winning the fight. He just had to pull off one more round. And he's the guy that's supposed to be stronger. And the fight game plan he picked put him in a weaker position and taking enough shots to lose the fight. It was terrible. And that's it, bad fight IQ. The guy won the first round, the most dangerous round for Chidi, and it was all downhill after that. Yeah, man, I don't know if I can bet on this guy ever again. I mean, that's terrible fight IQ. As a matter of fact, well, I can. I mean, it does help me. I'll bet against him every single time because I know he'll make a bad decision. At least I'm guessing from what I've seen. Moving on, that didn't work out. It was a disappointment. Landwehr, Emmers. Mental game, Landwehr, mental game. Landwehr is very strong mentally, and he'll push through things, and he'll come back and he'll win, never gives up on himself. Emmers gets discouraged, and if he doesn't take you out, then his whole demeanor changes. And that's exactly what happened. Played out how we expected it. It's funny is how many times I posted that Landwehr was going to win, and everyone's like, there's no way Emmers is going to lose. No way. And Emmers, he shouldn't lose, but he does. And there's a reason why he's 35 or 34 and still at the lower level of this division when all his talents say he should be in the, top 25. And there you go. It was a good bet. It came through. And what was really good is I had waited till the first round to bet it. So at one time, and I got it at plus 300, but if you live bet it, the highest I saw it go was plus 350 for Landwehr. So, and then at the end of the round, it started going down as Landwehr started coming back. But when Landwehr almost got knocked out, it was like plus 350. I thought this is a good opportunity to jump in. So it was even better odds betting it live. And that's one of the things I pointed out is that would have been a good, wait for the first round and bet it live. Another one, wait for the first round, what I was saying was this one, but it didn't even make it. There was no bet. It didn't make it to the end of the first round. This one didn't either, but this one I was ready for it. This one I still wanted to give it a more time. Which other one was a bet in the first round? I made a few notes on the bet in the first round. I had Algio bet after the first round, which he ended up getting stoppage, but that would have been a good bet after, before the first round. I had McKee bet after the first round. Actually, it worked against me because McKee was the favorite after the first round. And then I bet, and then he lost. So that one didn't work out, but this one worked out really well. This one, I didn't lose because I was waiting for the first round. And if he had made it to the first round, his odds would have been fantastic, and I still would have bet him. Who else? Turkali, I bet after the first round, and actually the odds were worse. Malkoon, after the first round, and it didn't matter. Yeah, it was worse actually. But yeah. So that one worked out really well. Moving on to Turkali, fight stopped early. Turkali, looking at the scorecards after, there was two scorecards were 2 rounds for Aslan. The other scorecard was, a split 1-1. So to me, looking at the fight, it was fairly even. It could have been either way. And Copeland, after Turkali got knocked down, he got knocked on his butt. He wasn't knocked down. He was sitting up. He was waiting for Aslan to come in. Like, granted, he was dazed. But that's the worst place for Aslan is on the ground with Turkali. Because Turkali only had a little bit longer to go. He could have held on. He might have been winning the fight. And Copeland jumped in. And this is, this is what happened last time, is when Aslan went on the ground with Takali ended up choking him out. So if anything, it might have been a good thing. But they stopped the fight. I mean, who knows what would have happened? Aslan was gassed. He goes on, maybe through a few punches, maybe Takali reverses the position and chokes this guy out. But anyways, it was the early stoppage. There was I think I put down Takali was winning. I was thinking he was winning, but I looked at the fight scorecards after, and majority was on Aslan's side, but it was a close fight. Nobody knew at that point. That was a bad stoppage. And then him falling down, and he wasn't like KO'd. I mean, Takali's going to be better on the ground. Aslan might not have even gone on the ground. Like, for all you know, he might have wanted him to get back up. But it didn't matter because Copeland jumped in and stopped the fight. This fight, actually, I bet after the first round it was worse because Takali was doing really well. So, and then I thought, whoa, that was the round I'm really concerned about. Because that's the round Aslan gets all his KOs. So, anyways, there was some things did go right, some things went wrong, but overall it was a good card. I tell you the truth, looking how many ones were wrong, but most of the ones that were wrong were in the bottom section, except for this one. This one really messed it up. But realistically, it was down here. So I didn't notice it as much, even though when you add them all up, there is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This one I got both ways, 5 incorrect. I didn't notice it basically because of where their location was in the betting. But overall, it felt better than the actual number. And looking at some of the stuff online, and there was this card, beat the hell out of a lot of people. But it didn't. We did okay just because of the way we structured it. But yeah, it was a tough card to pick. But overall, I thought we did pretty good. Nevertheless, I'm not looking forward to see Copeland reffing any of the fights that I'm betting on. Unless he's getting paid for the guy I'm betting on. Anyways, thank you very much for joining me again today. I will put out the video tomorrow for the next fight card. And I think I've got it almost ready. It's actually 99% ready. So thanks for joining me. Hit the like button. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button if you want notifications when the next videos are coming out, just because I don't really have a set schedule. Other than that, have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow.